So just an introduction, my name is Katy Ursta. I've been coaching for a little over 5 years. I've made this my full-time job, but at the time when I started, I had no intention of doing that. I really just was loving the products and the programs and seeing great results, and I was just really seeing small wins, anything from getting the groceries paid for to, yep, I'm gonna mute all those right now. So getting the groceries paid for to, eventually getting my car payment taken care of. It was just a process. It was just a long process of small wins. And then eventually it got to the point where Mike and I sort of weighed our options, and we realized that I was actually limiting myself if I was staying in my full-time job. So I like to describe myself as sort of an entrepreneur, because I really love teaching. My passion is actually teaching. It's being in the classroom and love my kiddos, love when I run into them and see them like kind of become adults. And so when I think about how I've grown the business, I feel like I've always kind of been true to that side of it. I work really well with people who don't necessarily come into the business saying, I want to do this full time, I want to make this my full-time income. And instead, I tend to attract people who are just like, I want to do more than just get by. And I want you to understand that I know it would be great to have those coaches in our organization who want to blow it out of the water and be absolutely amazing. But sometimes those coaches just need time to grow. And I know that I was that coach to Melanie too. So today I'm actually going to talk about social media marketing and my take on it and how we can actually use that to boost our volume with our relevant content. So last week when you guys talked with, I don't know who was leading the call. I believe it was Melanie, but last week, the purpose of that call was to understand the ways that you can grow your business and the different ways that volume can impact you in terms of how to actually see income growth over time. So when you're setting your goals, you're starting to see, well, why do I want to hit Success Club? And what does Success Club actually signify? And why is it something that I want to eventually teach my downline to do as well? And today, I want to talk about how we can sort of boost that volume by being very specific and very intentional with what we're putting on social media. Now, a little background too, when I started, Facebook was totally different. So sometimes I need to kind of go back and reteach myself and really keep learning. So you have to understand that what's working right now might not be working in a couple of months, or your sweet spot is maybe just not catching anymore. And so when we look at our social media, we have to understand that it is going to change. The algorithms change. The things that people are engaged with is going to change. When I started, there was no such thing as curiosity marketing. Social media marketing was still in its infancy. We didn't even think of it as marketing. It was just throw a post of Shalene and say, purchase a challenge pack from me, and everybody in the newsfeed saw it. So it wasn't that it was specifically shown to certain audience. Everybody was seeing it. And sometimes people would just, anyone who would maybe see my newsfeed would latch onto that or say, all right, I'm asking you more. But people have kind of become deliberate with the type of people that they want to follow. And when there's so many people who are selling things on social media and so many people who are marketing anything from lipstick to Shakeology to, like their gym or just, I don't know, candles and oils and everything, people have this wall up. They are kind of guarded because if you aren't adding value, and you're not curating that really great content, it's going to be hard to really talk to your audience. And you might notice that people are reluctant to even talk to you or engage with you because they're so afraid of being sold. And I actually, in a blog post I just wrote, I talked about it being sort of similar to when you go to a Macy's or to a Kaufman's or to a Nordstrom's, and you are walking down the aisle, you just have to get to the end of the store, and the perfume lady comes out at you, right? And she is just like, oh, you've got to try this new scent, and you want nothing to do with that scent. And there she is just chasing you down, and you're doing everything in your power to sort of avoid eye contact with her. You don't want anything to do with her. You're hoping she doesn't see you, and then you pick up your pace a little bit. The same thing is sometimes happening on social media. We don't want to be the perfume lady. We want to be the person who's like, hey, how are you today? Hey, I just tried this pair of jeans on and they didn't really work for my body type, but I was actually thinking you might like these. I mean, have you ever had that happen in the store where you see a sweater and you reach out to the person and you say, where did you get that? That's who we want to be. That's how we want to engage with our people. So I'm going to give you some tips and I'm going to give you some tools that I hope will kind of help you. So I'm going to do it real quick and make sure everyone is sort of muted. There's a couple people that I think aren't, but I'm trying to get everyone. But if you come on or you just grasped onto this call, can you just make sure your line is muted? And I'm going to do a quick screen share for you guys. First of all, I have about 1 million tabs open, so please excuse how it looks. Okay, do that. Okay. All right, can you guys see this okay? Cool, we're gonna get started. All right, so you guys, it can be really easy to think that we wanna make a sale, so we just want to talk with everybody. So we really think of ourselves as somebody who has a megaphone, and maybe our message will be clearly resonating with anyone, but it doesn't really work like that. You know, you have to get specific with the type of person that you want to work with. So this is gonna be thinking back to wherever you are in your journey. So maybe you came into the company and you already had a weight loss transformation and Beachbody didn't get you there, but there was something about Beachbody or your coach, or there was something about just in general, the community, whatever it was that drew you into it. It could be that you started as a coach and started your weight loss transformation at the same time. It could be that you didn't really have weight to lose, but you were really like looking for a community of people and maybe to make a little bit of side income. You really have to acknowledge what your story is and what drew you to the opportunity in the first place, because chances are that is what's going to draw people to you. So we can't really knock that aside. We have to make sure that's at the kind of center of what we're sharing. So I have in front of you guys how I define my target market, and this is just a couple of things that work for me. Now notice this isn't going to work for everybody, and although Melanie and I are really, really good friends, we're very different. And chances are that the way that Melanie talks now really wouldn't be the type of coach that I would be looking for, and likewise vice versa. So I am very specific with the type of person that I talk to. So one thing that I kind of did was I went onto Instagram, right? And I looked at certain hashtags that were very me. That, like coffee lover or cake, or I would talk about like drinking wine, but I also really love Jesus. I cuss a little. And so I know my people are really witty and they can sort of be reserved and they can kind of be like, they can hesitate. My people analyze things too. So when I was looking on social media, I would kind of look at some hashtags with Instagram and I would see what those people looked like. And I would just look through some of their posts and I would say, okay, well, what stands out about this person? And I created this sort of avatar. So if you look on the side, these are kind of some things about me that I notice attract people to me. So it's not about me with the megaphone or me with the perfume saying, hey, who's listening to me? Who wants to know more about me? Who wants to know Beachbody? It's really me being like, hey, this is who I am. Is this who you are too? So when you look at this, you say, okay, like who do I want to work with? Well, I noticed that I relate well to women who have preschool age or school age kids. I talk a lot about hockey and my kids' hockey habits. Every workout picture, there's usually a hockey net or hockey balls or something in the background. So moms of boys tend to latch on. They get it. I also noticed that anytime I post about confidence or comparison, that sticks out to my audience. So I know that my women they struggle with that. They struggle with comparison or they struggle with confidence. There are also women who, if there is a room filled with cake, they don't say no to the cake. I'm doing 80-day obsession, and I'm telling you right now, if there's a piece of cake, Katy doesn't say no to it. So life's short. I eat the cake. But those are my people. That's what they think. I love Jesus, but I do cuss a little. I put too much stuff in the junk drawer. I say yes to a lot of things that I shouldn't. And I burn out easily, and I'm not good if I don't get rest. Women who are witty but also have a really great conversation. They love their friends and they're very close with their friends. Tight inner circle. There's got to be more than this. You know, when I think back when I started, it was very much a like, I'm really tired of going to the grocery store and crossing my fingers that our debit won't bounce. So I talked to that woman, like, who is like, oh, I just really hope that my debit card doesn't bounce this week. They hate all things budget. I remember when we started and my husband would have his little Excel sheet out, and I would go running the other way, or I would do everything in my power to avoid him talking about how much money I could or couldn't spend that month. Women who spend dollars at Target, they have no idea what they spent. Definitely me. Women who love coffee, wine, cheese, and cake in no particular order, but the cake is first. Women who love PJs, but every once in a while they really love their little black dress because they want to remind their husband that they still got it going on. And women who are looking to start eating healthy, but make some changes, but still enjoy life. So these are like 80-20ers. So I'll be honest with you, 80-Day Obsession was something that I couldn't sell and promote very well because it's really out of my comfort zone. So when I thought about it, even how I marketed 80-Day Obsession, it became 80-Day Elimination. And I talked about not being obsessed with my body, but being obsessed with being healthy and being my personal best and being obsessed with being 6 a.m. selfish and putting time into myself first. But it was very different than the way that the company marketed it. And I want you to understand that sometimes that is going to happen. And you're going to notice as I talk more about curiosity marketing, it is your business and you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do with it. So if you are saying, well, I don't know how comfortable I am promoting 80-Day Obsession, think about what it is that makes you sort of uncomfortable with it. And then ask yourself, well, how can I make this specific to my target? Like, how would 80-Day Obsession fit in with my target? And then I went into a couple things. So I kind of gave you a little bit of information just about I do, what it looks like. And now I just want to share with you guys a couple of posts that I have done and how I do it. So when I go into a week of social media planning, I do a couple things. I'm going to actually stop my share for a second. Okay. So when I go into social media planning for a week, I get out the social media planner that I put into the Dream Team, and I believe it's here too. But if you can't find it, it is in the file section of our bigger Dream Team page. So what I do is on Sunday night or on Monday morning, kind of depending on my weekend, I go through and I plan out my content for my page. So if you are somebody who has sort of a tight schedule, or you are somebody who, you know, works full time, or you're really worried about getting information out on social media, plan it out. It makes your life so much easier. Now, I'm also a firm believer that it is all about the quality that you put out as opposed to the number of posts you put out. There are days when I do 1 or 2 posts. I don't really post on my personal page much at all anymore. I run my business primarily actually through my business page on Facebook and secondary Instagram. So what I do is I just go through and I plan out my content for the week. So I don't talk about it being 80-Day Obsession, and I'll go into this a little bit more in the program, but I talk about doing an 80-Day elimination program. And I actually created a hashtag that works for me and works for people who are following me. And it's called #EliminationExperience. And so that hashtag creates a curiosity. I'm not marketing Beachbody, not marketing 80-Day Obsession. Beachbody does a great job of doing that on their own. But I market what I'm doing and what's working for me and why I think this works for people like me. So I go through and I plan out my posts. Now there's a couple of posts that I'm very consistent with, the type of post. So one type of post I do on Mondays, I am home and I am working in my yoga pants. I don't have to report to a boss. I don't have to go out and drive in the snow. But in some way, it connects to the woman that I was a few years ago. On Tuesdays, I'll have a transformation picture. And instead of talking about it being an 80-Day Obsession transformation, I talk about it being an elimination experience. This person has achieved amazing results with an at-home fitness program. They committed to a meal plan provided, and they checked in every day into their support community. So see how I'm kind of making people curious without just coming out and saying everything that I'm doing. A couple other posts that I do on Thursdays, I always post about the business. I am not one to like say exactly what I made or how well I did, but I do talk about celebrating coaches' successes. And I talk a lot about the woman I was. So when I started, I don't talk about my income now, but I start talking about it was so nice to be that girl who wasn't afraid of bouncing a check. I mean, like that feeling of just knowing that I have enough money in the bank account and I am helping my family is something that people connect with as opposed to the income that I'm creating now. Remember, you're talking to the woman that you once were. So there is a slight difference between that. And then I also do a lot on my blog. My husband and I are in the middle of like revamping my blog. So we've been shifting up the content and making sure it's stuff that people want to read. So like I was telling you before, I talked a lot about elimination experience. I create elimination downloadables, freemiums for people to collect. Doesn't take a lot of work. You can do all of it in Canva. And when you create Canva, anything you create for your challengers, sometimes make it into a freemium for people who are just watching you. Let's go back to some posts that I do. Okay. Share screen. Let's try that again. Okay. Now, like I said, I kind of said at the beginning, a couple of ways that I sort of work with people are women who give to everybody else and they're really, really bad at putting time into themselves. So like I said, I look at my social media planner, and these are just some examples of a type of post that I was doing. So I put a lot of jabs out there, and then I'll do an invitation. So here are a couple of examples of the woman that I talked to. So if you remember that target that I was talking about, the woman that I was talking about, these are the type of posts that I know would directly talk to that woman. So there's a picture of my son who was potty training at the time and wears his underwear outside of his clothes. And it was just you do what you gotta do as a mom when you go to the grocery store, right? Or, the fact that if my son eats a 3-year-old Cheez-It, I know he's not gonna die. I know he'll be fine. Actually, it was probably more like 3 weeks. I don't even know how long that Cheez-It was there. Actually, that still happens. That happens every week. There is so much stuff on our floor of our car. I don't know, like, does anyone else have that? That's like a mom problem. It's like random food just pops up everywhere in that car. Just a random thought. And always some truth bombs too. So I talk about what confidence is. I talk about the world not ending if you put yourself first. Like talking about scars and that you have this beautiful body and don't be so hard on yourself. It's not scars. Like they are your what are they? They're like your, what do I call them? I don't remember what I said. But then all of these posts sort of came together, and then I gave them a little bit about me. I told them a little bit about my story, how I was the girl who was overweight, how I don't have a perfect body, but my body's been through a lot, and I'm really, really blessed to have the body that I do. So if I sweat, guess what? I'm not necessarily sweating for a six-pack. I'm sweating because my feet hit the floor in the morning. I'm blessed enough to do so. And I'm very bold about that, and if you ever show up on my page, there are times I feel very passionate about that. And that shows in my posting. The things that matter to you are going to show in your posts. So it might be a really good idea for you to say, what do I care about? What matters to me? Like, why do I really, really coach? And then this was an invitation to coaching, and it kind of went over like who the mom is who should be coaching. And it talks specifically to why I still do this. I do this too for my health. 5 years into the business, you guys, yeah, the money and the income is great, but a big part of why I do this is selfishly because it keeps me accountable. I'm still accountable to my customers. I'm still accountable to my team. I have to show up. I have to be my best so other people are inspired to be their best. So I put all these posts that sort of attract that ideal person. So if you were like Katie, you would be like, I get the vibe she's throwing down. But if you're easily offended by a cuss word, you're probably going to be out. And that's okay. I'm not going to please everybody. Not everyone is going to relate to potty training a 3-year-old. Not everyone is really going to love this idea of like not getting a 6-pack. Some people really love their workouts to attain that, and they don't really want all the other fluff with it. So I just kind of want you to think about that. Who are you trying to attract to your business? And are you speaking to that person? All right, so here's a couple other ones for me. And these are just more about, these are posts that did actually really, really well with regard to coaching. So I'll share why I think they did well. And usually I don't talk much about it being Beachbody. And to be honest, I found myself actually shifting and talking more about coaching on IG stories and allowing them to swipe up for an application and starting the conversation there. But one post that I did, my husband and I built our home last year. We actually just moved in a couple of months ago. But the guy, the project manager who was walking us through our house was asking us about what I did. And he was like, wait, but how do you make money? And I joked around, and at my house, it was like the offices were being built. And I joked around with the project manager and said, step into my office, let's talk. And so then I just went into, that story of how we were building our dream home, how somebody was like, what do you do? How do you make money? And then I went into just what you can do if this is something that interests you. Another one is I talk to the underdog. I am the underdog. So and just people who are like, I can't do what she does, I immediately are like, yes, you can. Like, why wouldn't you be able to do this? So I talk to that person as well. And again, I lead a lot of the times with objections. Katy, I can't coach because, and then I fill in that gap. So there's an easy formula for people, and it's just actually relating to where they are now by letting them see that at one point you were there too. So the more relatable you can be to someone, the more they're going to start saying, I think she'd be a great guide for me. I think this is a good fit for me. I really think that she can be the one to actually help me on my health and fitness journey or on my coaching journey. And I think I had a question. Let me stop share. Oh, cool. Let me go back to my share. Escape. What was I doing? Okay, so I was here. Sorry, guys. Hold on one second. All right, let's see if you can see it again. Okay. So all of this that I sort of mentioned to you guys is what I call just curiosity marketing. And I put in the Dream Team page, I don't know if you saw it, I did a blog post last night on just 6 books that every social media storyteller should own, should have. And they're good books, but they've changed the way that I have marketed. So just like I was saying at the beginning of this call, it really isn't about what you're selling as much as why you believe it matters that you sell it. So there's a couple of things that I've kind of shifted, and this has been probably in the last 6 months that I have really transitioned from talking a lot about being a Beachbody coach and using Beachbody programs to more of I am a lifestyle coach, and I use a particular fitness program, and I have the Netflix of workouts, and I have my Mommy Go juice, which is my Energize, and I drink my superfoods, which is my Shakeology, without necessarily saying what it is, because I don't want to be the perfume lady. I want to be the person that people are drawn to that can make that decision, okay? So first thing I'm going to encourage you guys to do is do a quick run through of your own social media. Or if you're working with a success partner, ask your success partner and say, do you think I come off as too salesy? Or look at your own and ask yourself, are my images like clear? Am I putting a lot of Beachbody words in there? Am I coming off as salesy? Am I talking a lot about Shakeology and not so much what Shakeology does for me? Is it a lot about me instead of what I can do for you? Just do an inventory of your social media. You know, the reason that this is phase 2 is because a lot of times in phase 1, when we just start coaching, there's an excitement to it and a newness to it that we can achieve certain steps and milestones in the business without, I don't want to say much effort, but there are people that might say, I'll buy a challenge pack from you. Sure, like I believe in you. I want to be on this new venture with you. But as we get to the second phase of our business where our warm market isn't necessarily there anymore, we really want to draw those people in to what we have to offer. So it's about showing them your lifestyle, showing them what it's done for you, showing them where you were before, and showing them how you've kind of changed because of it, but also giving them that hope. A lot of my posts end with, I'm rooting for you. And I just started using that because I genuinely mean that. Whatever people want to do in their business or what they want to do in their fitness, I want to see people win. I want to see people experience those small wins. But those little words, I'm rooting for you, also let people know that I'm cheering them on. I'm not just posting this because Katy wants to post a selfie. I am posting this because I'm doing it for you. I want to show you it's possible. So start thinking, well, what are the things that I can say that people will know I have something to offer them, okay? If you've read a great podcast for you to start listening to and a great book for you to check out, hold on one second, I gotta sip my coffee, is called Donald Miller's Story Brand Podcast and the book. Story Brand helped me sort of shift from being Katy the Beachbody coach to Katy the guide of somebody else's story. And his big thing is when you are trying to support someone on their journey, you either have the option of being the guide or the hero. And he kind of compared it to like Luke Skywalker. And he talks about how everyone wants to be their own Luke Skywalker. Everybody wants to be their own hero. So when you present yourself constantly as the hero, and another way of showing this is if you present yourself constantly as I have the perfect body, or I work out every morning, or I drink my shake every day, you're becoming the hero of your story, but you're not guiding them to start making a change or writing their own story. So instead of being the Luke, you have to start looking at it like, I need to be the Yoda to someone else. He also compared it to like, if you guys know Hunger Games, the Katniss and the Haymitch. So Haymitch is super, super flawed and he's super, super real, but he's also a guide to Katniss. So when you look at your social media, would you say that you're more of the guide saying you can do this, I'm rooting for you, or this is why I'm doing it? Are you using pronouns that are all about I, me? Or are you using pronouns that are like we can do this? Or if you say you, is it in a way that's saying you know, like pointing the finger at them? Or is it more in a way of like, I've done it, you can do it too? Pronouns are so simple. They're so simple to overlook. But if you come off as like authoritative without necessarily being nurturing, people aren't always going to connect with you. Look at those shifts. Small. I mean, small tweaks. You can have the same exact paragraph, but instead of using the words I all the time, or me, or my journey, start using the word we. We're going on this journey together. We are doing this. I am rooting for you. See if that makes a little bit of a change, because I guarantee it's the littlest thing that you can do that makes a big difference. Quality content, this is something that's sort of new. I've found that I don't do well when my posts have words. I don't know why anymore. I don't know if it's an algorithm thing. I'm not sure if it's just kind of some shifts, but I tend to use an image that does well. And for some reason, a lot of times it's just a picture of me that is clear with natural lighting that does really well. So in my words, instead of it saying apply now or join my team, I have to have quality content that people want to read. And when I have quality content that people want to read, there can be a call to action at the end of it. Not every post of mine is necessarily a direct call to action. I would say about 1 in 4 or 5 is a direct call to action. Using IG stories, I use IG stories a lot of times. If you follow me on IG, what you'll see on IG is usually just something that I've recycled from One Fit Fighter, from my Facebook page, Katy Ursta. So when it goes on to there, it's already content that I've created. My IG stories though, I usually take a story and then I personalize it for my One Fit Fighter page. So I'm not creating more work for myself. I'm just creating work that I know is going to be able to apply to both. And again, I post usually maybe on a good day, like 3 times a day. And you guys, I really think it's important to know too, sometimes your posts don't stick. They just don't, and that's okay. You can have this great post. It says everything right, and no one likes it. No one is getting it, and no one really feels like what you're throwing down. That's okay. It happens to the best of it. It happens. But what you can do is kind of reflect and go back and say, well, what post did do well? What did I say in those posts that did well? Can I kind of recycle that content, maybe switch it up a little bit and create a new image for it? Or an image that is very similar to it, but change the content for it. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. If you have content that if you took content that worked, just keep using it with small tweaks to it, okay? And then the last thing that I did a call on this. I posted it, I shared it. It's the worst quality ever for a YouTube video. But I was an English teacher, right? So I know that when my kids were writing a paper and they would create a thesis statement, their whole journey of the paper was to prove that thesis statement. So when you guys are posting about a challenge group or posting about coaching, you have to have supporting evidence to prove what you're trying to say about it. So when I look at my posts and my content, if I'm talking about the eliminations experience, building confidence, helping women lose weight, or just being a community of support, I need to back those things up with proof, either testimonials that I share, real transformations, or I do something where I share a post that reveals what I do right in that group. Whatever it might be, you have to take whatever it is that you're trying to prove, that you have the tools to help people, and then you have to back it up. So after you've maybe done your coming out post, after your first month as a coach, reevaluate it and say, am I proving what I say I can do? Am I guiding someone on their own journey? Or am I just kind of showing people what I do? Do people even know that they can join me on this journey? I've had so many coaches that have come to me and have these aha moments after a call like this where they're like, I posted a selfie and a workout for days, but nobody was acting, and I realized it was because nobody really knew that they could come. Like nobody realized that they could actually join me on the journey. So just kind of sort of want to walk you through that as well, okay? Do you guys have questions about that so far? And then I'll kind of go into follow-ups. I'll close it out with follow-ups. See the chat bar. They finally come. I know. Marcy, right? Like, how many times would I be teaching English and they would be like, I will never use this again in my life. And I'll be honest with you, I do not use the math ever. I use a calculator and I still fail with the calculator. But thesis statement, I can make it apply. I can make it apply for sure. Good. Oh, hi, Christine. How are you? All right. Let's go on to the next one and talk about, well, what is a coach? You guys, let's create our elevator pitches for what is a coach. Because a lot of people are going to ask. So a lot of people use the word beach body coach. I'm a beach body coach. And for some people it works. For me, it doesn't. So, I think it's really important to note that Melanie, a lot of people come to Melanie just because of the notoriety she has, right? So if you're posting exactly like she posts, you might be doing yourself a disservice. And I don't mean that mean. I just mean that she has a large following already, and a lot of people come to her because they already know her as a Beachbody coach. But you can create a large following based on what you offer, but Beachbody gives you the tools to be able to help people. So I describe myself as a lifestyle coach, and I match people with at-home fitness programs and nutritional plans that meet their needs. I don't come out and say everyone's doing 80-day obsession. I don't come out and say everybody's doing T25 or 21-day fix or the little containers. I just talk about getting people involved with an at-home fitness program and a nutritional plan as well. I talk about meal plans, the recipes, daily accountability. I run my business online because it works great with my personality. Some coaches do live group exercises, but I actually do most of my work virtually, aside from a few coffee meetings with local customers and coaching. And then I kind of go into I love coaching because, and I sort of build my reasoning and then how I work my business. Coach part-time between running practice, before and after school. You guys, I still work my business part-time. It has really been an awesome experience. Does this sound like something you would like to know more about? So if people are asking you what you do, or you've set it up in a way that people can ask you what you do, a great elevator pitch is a great start. So saying what it is, saying what you do, saying how you run your business, and then what you love about it. And then asking them a question. Does this sound like something that would work great for you? Okay. Let's see. And if they say yes, you're going to thank them for the message, and you're either going to do one of two things. I like to get on the phone. I just think it's personal, and I do have the time to be able to do it. There's also, you can have someone apply. You can have them fill out a coach application. Ask them. I would love to hear a little bit more about you. I do have a new coach training starting soon. You guys have the opportunity to get everyone connected right in the Vimify system and hear from top coaches in the organization. Like, how cool is that? Give them your link to order, and then have a great day. Chat soon. I actually would probably take that statement back and end it with a question. I'll reach out to you tomorrow morning. Does that work for you? Is usually how I end it. I really do try to end every follow-up with another question because it just allows me to continue the conversation. Let's see at the chat. Okay. Just got my link page up and running, and finally kind of struggled with the description, and a friend asked what my page is about. I don't really know what to put in there. I would just say something very general about you. Like, what's your link? Does your link on IG say something? What do you stand for? What do you enjoy? And what would somebody expect to see when they come to your page? So put your own little spin on it, Marcy. All right, and then I'm sorry, this is application. Let's try that. Okay, so this is what I do when somebody completes an application. I thank them. I answer any questions that they might have. I talk about what they're going to get within the first 30 days of coaching, and then I send them a little bit more information. So I just go over that as well with the completed application. Melanie talked about this in a call, but I want to say it was a evening call. I can't remember. It was like just last week though. You can actually use Google Streak and create snippets in your Google Streak. If you just Google, how do I create snippets? A lot of this can already be saved. So after someone applies, you can just send them that information directly. Okay. Just coming up, and if you want, I'll share these slides with you guys too. So you can kind of create your own. And then give them the next step. So once they say, yes, this looks really good, I'm very, very interested, send them the next steps, which would be to apply, what they're gonna be able to do, letting them know that the challenge pack is absolutely the best bang for their buck. If they're a customer, they might be skipping this step and just paying the $39.95. And just let them know when you're done, can you just let me know so that I can make sure everything goes through on my end. Let's see, sorry. How did you increase your, Amy, the increasing the IG following is just, that's been over time. That's been consistency over 5 years. So yeah. And that's also my secondary focus too. I don't focus on that nearly as much as I focus on my life page. But a lot of other coaches are all heavy IG, or there are great coaches. I think Val still runs her business primarily on her personal page. I think she does a lot with that. I know Jen Guthrie does too. It really is what you're comfortable with too. So it's just kind of figuring that out. And then let me give you a couple last tips to sort of end with, and then I'll open it up for questions for you. And I would love if you guys kind of have something whirling on in your mind just to think about it, so that we can talk it out. So use your insights. If you have a like page, Use the insights button to figure out what's working well and what's not. Pin a post that speaks right to your audience. What do they connect with? Create that curiosity. Don't come out and say, I am a Beachbody coach. If your profile picture has a picture of you being a Beachbody coach or describes you're a Beachbody coach, change that up. But create curiosity about what you do and how you earn and how you live, with occasional jabs for them too. A couple of surefire ways to increase your engagement is asking your audience questions. Providing them random quotes or funny things in the middle of the afternoon that really just speak directly to them. Share content from well-known pages. I do this a lot in the afternoons, like at 3 o'clock. If I found a great blog post, I usually post that on my page. Images that matter. Remember, you're stopping with a picture, you're connecting with your content, and educating them with the things. So show up and match expectations, live videos, tutorials, consistency, addressing their need. It's really knowing what your audience wants to see and talking right to that. And if you're not sure what that audience needs, just explore random hashtags. This might take a little bit of time, but if it's something that you do intentionally, it's absolutely worth the time. All right, that's all I got. That's all I have for you. But I know that was a lot of information, so I want to make sure that I take a little bit of time so that I can answer any of your questions that you might have. So if you have any, I know that a lot of you guys might be like just kind of taking in all this information. But what do you guys have for me? What questions do you have? You feeling good? Or are you feeling like this is a lot? Or what's going on in your heads? I told you. Do you see this? This is me to a T. Please don't be shy. If you're thinking it, just say.
Katie, somebody.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi. Somebody brought over some food for us yesterday. We had an emergency in our family, so people have been bringing. They brought these cupcakes yesterday. I was like, did you? I'm cutting into that.
Yeah.
Trying to think about my question. So I've had these stories in 2005 when I got Beachbody. Had to do with divorce. Go back to that time, that person who I was, but keeping things kind of upbeat, and I don't know, things are so heavy right now. So I'm like, how can I just keep it a little lighter and stuff, but talk to people who maybe had gone through divorce, and that's why I used exercise. Like super heavy stuff. I wish I just had some weight to lose.
Yeah. So. And you know, for some people, this isn't about weight loss. Like personally, when I look back at my own journey with Beachbody, it started as that. And you might be talking to that woman who does need to lose weight. But I have found that for some people, it's community. So what I do is when I'm sort of struggling through, like, well, who am I talking to? What's my audience? I actually sit down with a journal and I brainstorm blessings, right? So I actually did this yesterday. I'll show it to you. I actually posted it too. So anytime I tell my coaches this too, anytime you're sort of going through a hard time, journal it out and write out like all of your blessings that have come from being a part of Beachbody. So all of this becomes content. So when I look at being like my career as a social media storyteller, I can't tell a story unless I know the story I want to tell. And the story I want to tell is what the good has come from being a part of this. And I actually think if people actually jotted this down, what would happen when I was doing this was I just kept writing. So, where you can kind of say, like, I know I'm blessed. I know I have it good. Like, I know it's where I want to be. But if you actually intentionally write it down, it changes everything. Because then you're like, it just keeps coming. You keep going like, oh my God, there's a lot of good things that have come from this. There's a lot of good things. The other thing that I have found myself doing too is, even if you're in like a place that's kind of hard, you just take those hard things and you're like, I can give somebody hope from this. And you just be that person you look to be. So, and I'll just give you this example, and this is sort of like a digression, but you know, when I was diagnosed, the first thing that I did was I went to Google. And I went to Google and I was searching stage 4 lymphoma, cancer, like life expectancy, survival rate, and I didn't find hope. Like, I literally could not find hope. And I had this whisper on my heart that was like, you need to be that. And so I became that. And I found that working out was my therapy. So it didn't become about trying to get a six pack. It didn't become about, you know, working out because, you know, I wanted to lose weight or anything like that. It wasn't about that. It was my therapy. Like, it was my sanity. It was the fact that my feet hit the floor and I was sweating. And if people were looking at me and going like, oh my God, she has stage 4 cancer and she's working out, I'm being a butt, and I need to get off my butt and I need to go work out. And that was my goal with it. So I think if you're kind of looking at your own life and you're saying that, record your blessings and then say, okay, well, what's the good that can come from that? And if you go back, like when I was posting about it while I was going through my treatment, I didn't talk a lot about it being hard, but I was being very honest about my story. If I was sweating, like, your excuse is invalid. Like, I was invalidating literally hundreds of excuses. So I think it's all about, you know, your journey with this and just saying, well, what can I do? What am I capable of? And why am I blessed by it? And then the other thing I say to myself is, even when it's hard, and even with you literally have no idea what you're doing with this business, and you're like, I am failing at this business, I, at the end of the day, say, I would be a jerk if I didn't share this with somebody else. And whether they do it or not is not up to me. It's up to them. But I know that if I'm not offering this to somebody else, I'm not doing my job. Because you might save someone's life simply because you say, would you be interested in doing this? And I'm not exaggerating that. I am saying that there are hundreds of thousands of people who are overweight and obese and who are looking for a solution, and you have one. There are hundreds of people out there who are like, I need to get the groceries paid for, or people who were like me and didn't have a community of positive, uplifting people, and you have disposal to that, and you have the opportunity to share that with someone, and you just kind of say, I'm a jerk if I don't do this. I am literally a jerk if I don't show this to someone. And that's all you do. And you don't worry about the rest. Somebody's going to say no. Someone's going to think you're trying to sell them something. Someone thinks you're the perfume lady who's trying to squirt them. That's fine. It's okay. Don't worry about what everyone else does or thinks. How do you inspire people with my post for that one? Yeah, I share my story. Jonette, I think it's Jonette. Okay, so with me, what I do is I keep going back to who Katy was before Beachbody, or who Katy was during cancer, and how I needed this. And then I share that unapologetically. But then I also make sure that I'm very cognizant of the pronouns that I'm using to let them know that they can come with me. So I talk a lot about the fact that I'm rooting for you. Or, you know, a lot of times with my blog content, I talk about how a couple years ago, I was at a really dark place. I was going through some PTSD with cancer, and I remember sitting on the bathroom floor and just thinking to myself, I can't do this business anymore because I don't feel hope, and just how I came out of that, and it was really taking care of myself. I talk about how I will not obsess about my body, and I will not obsess about my weight, and how I'm doing this particular program because I want to eliminate the things that I know that cause me to be in a negative state of mind. I talk a lot about mindset over physical. And because of those things that I talk about that are part of my story, I'm getting my audience to say, she's speaking directly to me. So a lot of times if you go onto my feed, you will see people say like, oh my God, I needed this today. Oh my God, you're speaking right to me. And that's right, I am, because I'm speaking to my particular demographic. So I hope that helps. Do you guys have any other questions? Was this okay? Did I give you a lot to think about? I hope I did. And seriously, like, you're doing amazing. Do not look at all these other people and think that they have their crap together. We do not have our crap together. We are constantly changing up what we're doing. What worked for us a little while ago, like maybe isn't working now, or maybe something that did work and the audience that I talk to isn't all of a sudden talking to me now, or my sales are usually a little bit further up than they are, and they're not now. You guys, like, give yourself some grace. Like, you are doing an amazing job. And if you catch yourself comparing yourself to somebody else, shut it down. Put your blinders on and say, okay, who am I? Why do I do this? And have I offered this to somebody else? Because if I didn't offer this to someone else, I'm actually a jerk. That's it. Just say that to yourself and then move on with your day. Okay? You're welcome, Marcy. Cool. All right. Anything else for you? Awesome. All right. So my son is home from school and I have a podcast to do next. So wish me luck that my day goes okay. But I really enjoyed spending some time with you guys and getting to know you. So, but I'm rooting for you and I can't wait to hear about your successes. All right. Okay, guys, have a great day.